Hello, everyone, and good afternoon. A warm welcome to every single one of you. Welcome to Recipes of Success. I'm Elaine Ho, Wellbeing Specialist at Micron, and your MC for today. This event is brought to you by SWE Singapore and Penang. That stands for Society of Women Engineers. Today, we are coming together to mark International Women's Day 2023, which fell on March 8. During this time of uncertainty, as we face a downturn, how can we redefine success as individuals, as companies, and as society? How can we deal with expectations around working women and navigate uncertainties for success? Stay tuned to explore these topics not just for women, but for all genders. We have an exciting lineup with voices from Hewlett-Packard, Keysight, Motorola, ExxonMobil, and Micron. We even have an NTU student representative moderating the panel discussion. It's great to know that diversity is present not just amongst our speakers today, but also amongst you, our audience. Right now, attending today's event, we have students in STEM as well as the 15 member companies of SWE. Once again, welcome to Recipes of Success. Moving forward, we have two trailblazing women giving the opening speeches. First, if you go to the next slide, first, a passionate pioneer of SWE, also president of SWE SG Singapore and director of engineering, MTO Quality, HP Inc., Jamie Neo. And after Jamie speaks, we have Associate Director, Global Program, Society of Women Engineers, the charismatic Emily Burnett. Emily will be on video recording as she's unable to join us today. But first, please welcome Jamie Neo.
Thank you, Elaine.
Jamie.
Yep, a very good afternoon and warm welcome to everyone who is calling in to today's IWD event co-organized by the SWE Singapore affiliate and the SWE Penang affiliate. This collaboration is very special to me as I've witnessed the formation of these two affiliates in the last 1 to 2 years, being the founder of the SWE Singapore affiliate and introducing SWE to my HP Penang counterparts and seeing the formation of a SWE Penang affiliate. So being the first affiliate for our country, Singapore and Malaysia, was not easy to start. At that time, we weren't even sure how to get started, who would join, will we get enough people wanting to join? But we do know when we get a group of passionate women together, we can accomplish a lot more. So to all the women, all the attendees here, have confidence, just do it. And you know that you can always count on a strong network of women advocates as well as male allies that we can tap into. So just do it. Back to today's IWT, Embrace Equity. Embrace Equity looks to recognize that everyone's context starting point is different, and we need to bring different resources to help each person reach as equal an opportunity as possible. We are very glad today to have esteemed guests from the different companies to share their recipes of success. And early part in March, we have also been rolling out on social media the recipes of success from many other individuals. So pick those that works for you. We know everyone is different. One of this recipe would definitely work for you. I would also like to encourage you to join us as friends of SWE or even sign up as SWE members. All of us are at different stages of our career, but collectively we have more and diverse experiences to share and help one another, each other, to reach as equal an outcome as possible. Today's event is not complete without hearing from SWE Global. So I also wanted to welcome Emily. She is from the SWE headquarters and she has been a very strong supporter for our affiliate here. So with that, let me get, maybe the team can roll the video from Emily.
Hi, everyone. I'm Emily Burnett, Associate Director of Global Programs at the Society of Women Engineers, and I'm excited to welcome you to this event in celebration of International Women's Day. As you listen to the great lineup of speakers and participate in the thought-provoking discussions today, I hope you'll keep in mind the theme of this year's International Women's Day. That theme is Embrace Equity. Rather than focusing on equal opportunities for all, equity focuses on how we meet people's unique needs to help them be successful. A great analogy of this is from Susan K. Gardner at Oregon State University. She says, equality is giving everyone a shoe. Equity is giving everyone a shoe that fits. Today, you're going to hear presenters talk about how they've navigated uncertainties, adversities they faced through the years, and different recipes for success. While you participate, I hope you'll think about the different roles that equity and equality play in helping women advance as professionals and as leaders. The SWE Singapore and SWE Penang affiliates are great examples of leadership networks that are making a real difference in this area. SWE is so proud to have you as a part of our community, and on behalf of the entire society, I wish you a great event today. Thank you.
It was great to see Emily on video, and thank you, Jamie, for your earlier opening speech. Now, giving a keynote on Embrace Equity, the theme for International Women's Day 2023. This speaker is a supportive male ally who has actively contributed in Micron Women's Leadership Network Steering Committee for years. A mentor to many, he has more than 3 decades of experience in process engineering and device integration in the semiconductor industry. He has held various senior leadership positions across manufacturing and R&D. Please welcome Vice President, NAND Technology Integration, S. Krishnan.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the introduction. I'm really excited to be here, to be part of this event, to be able to share some thoughts. You know, this kind of having to prepare for a keynote really does a lot of soul searching you have to do to dig into yourself and dig into what's happening around you. And so I think it's a rewarding journey to come and share some thoughts. I do want to kind of leave you the thought that whatever I was going to share today is not that I've succeeded in implementing all those, and it's a journey. It's a marathon, and it's not a sprint to get to any of these initiatives you're talking about. So think of it from that fashion. So as all of you know, ESG is a very buzzword these days, right? ESG, and we know it's environmental, social, and governance, and the social part is pretty much the focus of what we talk about in the women's equity section. And equity was very beautifully explained earlier, as different people need different types of help. It's sort of leveling the playing field to be able to still have a shot at the championship cup. That's the way to think about it, right? And typically we all get confused between equity and equality, and you can think of equity as a way to stepping stone to equality, right? We want to get to equality, but equity is the stepping stone, and that's where we all have to put in all the focus. So it's a great theme to say, embrace equity. Now, how do we play a very active role in promoting equity? And really, and most of you would realize that this is not for, we have companies that set targets for us, governments have targets, but the idea is not about meeting targets, right? That's just like a checkbox and you say, okay, I met this target. But the idea is to feel that this is genuinely an effort to tap into the talent, and we are all short of talent in this industry and other industries. Are we able to get to the right level, right talent? Because talent is there everywhere around us. So this should be an initiative to find talent. And many of us would have heard the advantages of gender equity or other forms of equity in terms of financials. Lots of reported literature on this, but I would just say one point on this. I was listening to some talks last week, and there were some senior leaders from some companies sharing that having women in a particular role, I think it was quoted as a finance role, the eye for detail, was actually a business advantage. And that was an eye-opener for me, that it's not so much about only create equity, which is important, but also find roles where, let's say in this context of International Women's Day, a woman could be a better fit and could be a business advantage for the company. And if you don't think in this fashion, we essentially, from a statistics point of view, all of you would have seen that we have 50% women, 20 to 30% of the women are graduates, but when it comes to the workforce, the numbers drop. Some of you would have heard one of the talks last week. It's called a leaky pipe syndrome, right? You fill the pipe, but actually it leaks. By the time you get to the senior leadership level, this is like a leaky pipe syndrome. That's not something when we are in talent shortage, we really don't want that situation, right? And then if you think about equity in the workplace, all of you would be, in different workplaces, you'll see different actions around workplace. I reflected on a few things that are actions that are some of them in play and some of them we should be thinking about based on what I heard from other companies. For example, we have lactation rooms. It's an equity action, right? But many of our work environments, working hours are all built over the years, working around men's schedules. Do we look at working hour flexibility? Yeah, now we have flexible work hours. Guess what? Who benefits? Not just the women, but also the men and the rest of the workforce. So actions that come out of these kind of efforts not only benefit the women, but the broader community. I think this is very important for many of us, I would say men or many of us, to realize that actions on equity are not to benefit only the women, but actually many of these benefit a larger workforce, the work-life integration policies that come because of this. The other interesting thing to think about, again, I wouldn't say these are all done in any company or all companies, but something to think about. Career tracks in companies are usually like a linear. Somebody's accelerating throughout their lives. But the reality, even for some men, most even primarily for women, there's an acceleration when you're in the 20s to 30s. Then once there is family, there is a point where you need to sort of balance the family as well as the career, and you can call it a slower acceleration, let's say. And then there's a point where children go off to college, and it's like situation where I'm in, me and my wife, and many women, I'm sure, on this call, where you actually want to accelerate. And do our companies provide the wherewithal and the infrastructure to allow you to do this? And that's important, because we normally would think that once there is a quote unquote slowdown, it's going to be a slowdown forever. That's not true at all, right? People want to accelerate at a certain point in time. Another idea I saw was from equity perspective is women with small children, they want to travel on business trips. Do companies create either financial incentives or maybe a parent, a grandparent to travel or a maid to travel? Apparently there are companies doing this. I'm just leaving you with some thoughts that these are all equity actions that different companies can consider for making sure the women are successful in the workplace. In Micron, we have done absolutely lots of things. We have announced gender pay equity. We announced the ASG measures are part of our goals, our financial bonus goals of all people. And we have gender neutrality in resume screening. And we have high level, almost more than 50% women in our boards. We are trying to push that down to the leaderships. So many such things are ongoing. I think looks like a picture came up on the screen, which I was wanting to refer to, but I think most of you would have seen this. The picture on the left is equality, where everyone gets the same opportunity. The person who's short can't get to the fruits, and equity, where you get extra help for the person who's short. And that's pretty much what equity is all about. So let me switch back to my theme. So Micron, I explained. Even worldwide, if you think about it, those of you who are keeping track of the CHIPS Act know that President Biden is saying that those companies who take money from CHIPS Act need to build childcare centers, right? And what is that? That's an action of equity, right? G20 had an announcement saying we need to work on equitable education opportunities for all. I just heard yesterday, Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, the late Prime Minister of Japan, actually coined a term called womenomics. It's economics where women play a significant part, which was a problem in Japan, right? Where the number of women in the workforce was not high at all. If you actually, probably I missed my first slide. If somebody could go back to the first slide. This is something I learned last week. I want to share. What's common to these countries? You probably think I'm asking a crazy question. Rwanda, Nicaragua, Cuba, and New Zealand. Actually, it's not a crazy question. It's actually, these are the only countries that have more than 50% women legislatures in their parliaments. And the closest to these two countries, apparently, Mexico and UAE. We are not there. Singapore is not there. Neither is United States. Neither is all the countries they think about. These four countries are there. So there are telltale, markers for this. So having talked about the context, so what do we do, right? And as I said, preparing for this talk, increase my awareness. So what we should do is increase awareness among the people we work with, train people on microaggression, train managers. It's never possible to train them on all situations. So everyone must learn by themselves. And I love to be, part of this male ally as part of the EIG. I think it's a very fruitful activity. Speaking at forums, increase awareness. So that's something at the workplace. I also felt at home we should do this because we bring our best selves from home to work. At home, having dinner table conversation about equity. We have domestic helpers, and I go back to India, for example. Domestic helpers, we help them a lot of financial, but rarely we think what is it that they need for equity. Sometimes they don't know how to get an email address. Sometimes they don't know how to write a resume. These are things that we can do, very, very simple act, and our children will be able to see that we are thinking of equity, looking at, hey, what is the opportunity that they don't have beyond money, and how do we help them? So these reflections will definitely bring us, very far into the workplace also. The last thing I was going to say on this is, after having said all this, what can women do? And my theme initially was, building self-confidence, be confident in our own growth trajectory. I talked about super acceleration, medium acceleration, high acceleration. Be comfortable with that. There's no one trajectory that fits everyone. And the last thing I would say is speak up when arrange a meeting that doesn't suit your schedule, because it's mostly not our reality. Unless you say so, people don't realize that, hey, I'm doing something that's very inadvertently not fitting a woman's reality. So don't get frustrated, because as a collective group like SWE or MWLN, all these groups, the women are becoming the stakeholders as important as the shareholders of the company. We have a collective voice, but please do voice your concerns, be confident about your concerns, and people will step up to listen, because we are increasing this awareness across all the industries. With that, I'll bring a closure to this. I hope it inspired some of you to think on these terms and continue this journey. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Krishnan, for the uplifting keynote on how we can build equity. Next, we have a panel discussion. Our moderator is an undergraduate representative for SWE at NTU, pursuing a chemical and biomolecular engineering degree. She has a passion for gender equality and STEM fields. Let's hear from this young and bright individual, Anusha Singh. Over to you.
Hi, Elaine. Thank you so much for the introduction. Welcome, everyone. On the panel today, we have the lead for Keysight Society of Women Engineers Enterprise Program Penang. Passionate about technology, she is the Director of Operations, General Electronics Measurement Solutions, Keysight. Please welcome Ms. Felicia Chair. Next up, we have President of ExxonMobil's Women Interest Network in Singapore. And she's also Executive Director, South AP Lubricants, ExxonMobil Asia Pacific. Let's please welcome Siu Kam Fong. And last but not least, he is a great ally for women with an incredible passion for teaching and mentoring Asian professionals to move up the corporate ladder at Motorola Solutions Incorporated, and Director of Business Development, International Defense Markets, Mr. David Lam. So now all of you are here to learn about the recipe for success. So I think we can all agree that success takes different forms. Our definition of success is different for the workplace and different for our personal life. And even these measures or definitions change as we go through life. So I'd like to open the floor to the panelists as to what does holistic overall success mean to you? After having gone through university and now that you're in the workforce, how has your definition and measure of success changed? Ms. Felicia, if you could start us off on this.
Thank you very much, Anusha, and good afternoon to everybody. In terms of success, and we talk about this topic called recipe for success, I'm sure each and every one of us cookbook or a book that we put all our favorite recipes in there. And these recipes could be on a saltier side, could be on a sweet side, could be on a spicy side, or even a bland side, depending on how our bodies, depending on how our diet requirements is that. So similarly to what I view success is always starting with what we call a life philosophy. What is inconstant to your true values towards society, towards our family, and how do you position yourself throughout this life cycle, from school to our workplace to even our families. And success and the definition should not change throughout this span. It has to be constant. It is only merely elevated from its original form and belief in the earlier days. And that is what a true measure of success is. And it differs for everybody as well in terms of recipes. Back to you, Anusha.
Wonderful. Wonderful, Ms. Chair. Thank you so much. Mr. Lam, if you could share some of your thoughts on this.
Thank you, Anusha. I appreciate the introduction. So I guess my thinking is along this line. I grew up as an Asian professional in the American culture and work environment, and I really have seen two very different ways of defining and living success. What I see is that many Asian professionals will actually define success through the eyes of their parents or family members, while in the American workforce and culture, we actually define it actually on an individual basis, where we ourselves define what it means to be successful. So I ask all of you, how do you define and live your success? Do you define it by living other people's definitions, or do you define it living your own definition? I find that when you choose your own path and you determine what your criteria is for success, that you'll be far more happier than living up to someone else's expectation. So for me, success to me means that I get to define what success means to me, and I get to define also when I achieve it. And that has made me far more happier and far more successful than if I had been living up to somebody else's definition.
Thank you so much, Mr. Lam. Really great points brought up about the very stark difference between the two cultures of the Asian and American culture. So I'd like to ask you that, do you think the Asian culture has progressed maybe from those times where, you know, we were still heavily bound to doing what our parents wanted and how we viewed success in their eyes? Do you think we have sort of merged with the American culture where we look into what we want? Or do you think it's still, it's a progress, but it's a very slow progress, or has there been no change at all?
Excellent question, Anusha. You know what? I think here in Singapore, I would say many of the Singaporean cultures, many of the younger generation are defining it more for themselves. And what I see all around Asia is that many people are starting to realize that, hey, I'm a lot happier if I define it for myself. It is unfortunately causing some conflict with parents who believe that they should be dictating the child's success. But in the end, I see that it seems to be working well for those who choose to define their own success. So I think there is progress. I wouldn't necessarily characterize it as moving towards the US culture, because the US culture is not necessarily correct in many instances, but I do see the younger generation speaking up for themselves, asserting themselves a lot more. And I find that it's invigorating. I find that it's exciting. And I do find that they will probably be a lot more happier for it.
Thank you so much, Mr. Lam. Thank you so much, Ms. Chair, for sharing your thoughts on this. Now, while we're looking at a recipe for success, we know that there is no fixed methodology or path to success. Like we established earlier, I think all our success takes different forms. And while the success takes different forms, even the journey to success is different for everyone. And there is no one way to go about achieving your goals. In my personal experience, when I moved from high school to university, my goals that define success overall have changed vastly. So I'd like to open up the floor once again, that although the journey for success is specific to each individual, do you still think that there are some key ingredients that are imperative that you must have in your journey, irrespective of your goal? Ms. Kampong, if you could start us off on this, please.
Hey, thanks, Anusha. I do agree with Anusha that there is no fixed recipe for success, whatever success may mean to each of us. However, I do think that there are a few key ingredients or attributes which can position us for success or a greater chance of success in our lives. Now, in my view, one of these key ingredients is adaptability, especially given the VUCA world, the volatile, ever-changing, ambiguous, and complex world that we live in today. Now, this means that we got to continually learn, unlearn, and relearn to ensure that we can respond to and innovate in a changing environment. It also means that we've got to get comfortable with changes and constructively challenge our own biases and long-held ideas. It's like building new muscles in your body as the game changes, where you now need to perform a very different move. Now, an example of how I've put this into practice continually in my own journey is that in the early stages of my career, I grew by building a lot of functional knowledge and becoming really competent in my individual contributor type roles. Then I became a supervisor or a manager, and I very soon learned that my role was more about delivering through my team members versus performing the task myself, which, by the way, I had already developed the muscles for and was very comfortable doing. So I had to, in a way, unlearn the way I worked, which is doing things myself, but instead build new muscles around leading teams, creating alignment, fostering teamwork, and coaching people. And then as I become a more senior manager, I found that my role now is more about managing, overseeing. It's less about managing and overseeing our day-to-day operations. And I've got competent, capable managers to do that. But instead, I need to focus more on the business's strategy in a changing environment. I'm dedicating more time on strategic talent management, such as raising up the next generation of leaders. So again, even as I grow and develop, I continually adapt and build new muscles to perform these very different roles. Now, very quickly, a second ingredient that I think it's really key to me is the ability to build meaningful relationships and foster collaboration with people. Now, there is a saying that if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go together. And so no one is an island. There is power in a team, in a community, a family. In my company, we believe that harnessing the organization's fullest potential entails creating an environment of trust and inclusion. And for me to do that, it is about engaging with people, showing care, respect, and being genuine, right, towards other people, so that everyone can bring their best selves, their best diverse selves to work. In my own career, the most rewarding experiences are sometimes the most challenging assignments, but the inspiration from working together as one team more than carries the team and really more often than not propels us to achieve more than we think possible. So these may be seemingly very common sort of wisdoms, but I think, the ones that have really served me well in my own journey.
Thank you so much, Ms. Kamfong. Great points brought up. I definitely think adaptability is a very important one, especially as we've moved from a COVID-heavy situation, as we slowly move away from it. I think adaptability and getting comfortable with changes was a big thing. And also a lot of, being comfortable with people and building meaningful relationships. I definitely agree that even for me, any group activity or group task is one that brings me the most joy as I work together with people. Thank you so much. Mr. Lam, if you could share some of your thoughts on this as well.
Thanks, Anusha. I actually agree with many of the points you made, Anusha, and also with what Kamfong has also mentioned. I think that each one of us really does have our own personal journey towards success. Our own journey to success actually began many years ago for each of us during our childhood. Each and every single one of us has childhood experiences that actually shape who we are today. And our educational experiences, besides our experiences just living, also shape how and what we think. Experiences to me are actually one of the main key ingredients that actually help us or hinder us as we enter the workforce, as well as in our own personal lives. Another key ingredient that I find to success is actually emotional intelligence. There are four major aspects of emotional intelligence, but the most important one I think that you have to really start off with first is self-awareness. Self-awareness requires you to understand yourself well enough to be able to define not only what success means to you, but also those things that may be hindering you towards achieving your success. The journey to understanding what success really means to you, I will tell you now, is not easy, but it really is well worth the effort to do it, to always learn about yourself, become aware, and then make adjustments as you need towards your journey.
Thank you so much, Mr. Lam. I definitely agree about self-awareness. Even as a university student, I think every other day I find myself thinking that if I take up this project or if I go for this activity, how does it affect me and how does it affect my journey of success? Do I want to go for an overseas exchange program or maybe an internship? How does it, in line with my values and success? Thank you so much, Ms. Kamfong, as well. So now that we've established that, there is no fixed recipe for success, right? There is different people have different goals in mind for their success. Their journey to achieving this success is also very, very different. But I think the one commonality that is there in all these journeys is that it is not an easy path. It is filled with many difficulties and hardships, which at times make it seem impossible to achieve our goals. Personally, for me, I remember that during my 12th grade final exams, I was studying extremely hard. And although there were days, where I felt extremely confident in my work and I felt okay that I was going to do well in it, there were many times where, I felt as though my goal was unachievable. I just didn't feel like studying at all. And those days were really stressful. But I think my friends and family were a huge support system for me that helped me get out of my own head and achieve my goals. So as we wrap up this panel discussion, my last question to all of you wonderful panelists is that if you could share your own difficulties in your paths to success and how you overcame them, because I think we've really talked a lot about, you should have a goal to success, you should have a journey. But I think as long as we don't get down into what went wrong, we're not able to really learn from it. So if Miss Felicia, you could start us off on this.
Okay, thank you, Anusha. So, we've spoken about journeys of success, recipes of success. And again, success does not come easy for everyone. It is a journey. And in this journey, there are always challenges. In terms of challenges, there are three attributes that we always have to have in terms of building ourselves, in terms of preparing ourselves. The first is what I call grit, which is the determination to carry on when you are facing a trouble. You do not give up at the first signs of trouble. It is an attitude that you have when you endure suffering. Resiliency is to recover from this difficulty. So you see a difficulty, you try to recover from it. And resiliency is an attribute that helps to do that. And self-awareness, as all of us has mentioned, is key to being able to be resilient to. Finally is tenacity, the ability to hold on, your determination, your willpower. A lot of times, success comes to us in the face of adversity. We always remember the time when the times are bad and we have recovered and, yay, hooray, that's what we have done. And tenacity is the ability to hold on even if we currently don't know how. So in terms of my journey, I've been in the industry for about 25 years. In that industry, I've changed work about 4 times or 4 years once in my current company. And I've been with the same company for the 25 years. So if you look at that, my journey started from many different functions, many different learning processes. But in these journeys that we go through, mentorship and allyship is also very important to us. Building that network, building the rocks that you can determine on. Now, mentorship and allyship to me is very, very different. When I started my career, it was all male. I had a lot of male colleagues around me. And for women in engineering, you know that many years ago, that was the prevalent condition, although things have changed significantly. is being able to find someone significantly older with maybe more work experiences. And those are the people that will be able to guide you and to push you through in your career. But allyship is another matter where you have people surrounding you. It's often a coworker, a colleague, somebody that does the same job. Now, remember, it is always not a competition. It is always a collaboration. When you work, when you study, when you do things, it is always a collaboration. No man is an island by himself. If you are an island, you are wrong. You are staying in that island, you are the king of the island. But you got to get out of that island and you got to have allies around you. So in terms of that, that is for me, what I term as success is being able to look at the face of adversity and to be able to look into your support network and how do you group that together and build yourself up.
Thank you so much, Ms. Chair. I think wonderful points about differentiating between mentorship and allyship. So if I could ask you to elaborate a bit more, how do you think one should go about starting the base for establishing a mentorship or an allyship? Because the most difficult part of doing anything is getting started because you don't know how to get started. So if you could share maybe something which help you to, start a mentor, to find a mentor or to, form your ally, what helped you if you could share something?
Okay, maybe I can start with mentorship. When I started my career, I was the only female in a group of probably 20 male engineers. So when you're looking around and you're looking and you're saying, how do I progress myself? What differentiates me from the rest? What makes me similar to the rest? Finding someone who has the same values, I would say is very important. Finding someone who has a forward-looking vision is very important in terms of mentorship. And being able to step out of your shell, being able to walk up to the person and just say, hi, I like, your approach in this. Would you be able to spend maybe 10 minutes? It's a casual conversation. It doesn't have to be a, hello, I am in an email. I would like to have this with you. No, it's very casual. And as you find, most people in higher positions are actually very open. And that's what I found throughout my career. As you approach people, you become more open, you become more visible, and you become somebody that it's just a friend. It's like a friend talking to one another. And we at probably my mentors appreciated that fresh sense of enthusiasm into their lives as well. So I think that is something that, try it out. Come out of your shell.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I think especially for university students who are just starting out, this is a very helpful tip because, when you come in from high school to university, you're a small fish in such a big pond and, you want to make friends, you want to build networks. There's so much you want to do. But I think the most important thing is to, take that first step and just say, hi, this is my name. What's yours? Let's meet sometime. I think that's the most difficult thing about university life, but the most important one as well. Thank you so much, Ms. Chair. Ms. Kamfong, over to you, please.
Hey, thank you. I think a lot of things that Felicia shared really resonated with me, around building mentorship and fostering these sort of relationships. And I just want to build on that very quickly. My own experience, I think many of the mentors that have really made a difference to my journey probably don't even know that they are mentors to me because I've maintained a relationship with them and I reach out to them for advice, as I grow in my own journey. Mentors can come really in many different forms and from a variety of areas. Now, I just want to, in response to the question, Anusha, one of the things that we do a lot in the company is we do move people a lot as we, endeavor to develop people and help them expand, their knowledge and experience. In my own journey, professionally, I've had a few assignments where I had to take on leadership roles in areas where I did not have the necessary domain expertise or related experience. And the challenge was really, how do you lead the organization, the team, while you're learning on the role yourself? One of my greatest learning was really about reaching out for help, seeking support, and building strong teams. one such assignment that I had was when I was appointed the plant manager for one of our plants. And I was new to the plant. I'm not, it was a leadership role requiring functional knowledge, which I did not have a strong operations foundation in. And I had to lead a team that was somewhat new to me as well. The team was experiencing a spate of low consequence safety incidents. And so there was an urgent need to strengthen the safety culture. So the work was cut out for me. It was a new team, and I had to get to work very quickly, but I was new myself. And so I realized very quickly that I needed help. I identified a number of members in my team who were really change champions and influencers, who were committed. Thankfully, I had a number of managers who who were really supportive and who could be trusted. And so I leaned quite heavily on the expertise on the team. At the same time, I actively reached out to my management and the broader organization for help as we looked at turning around our safety performance. So identifying experts in an organization that could come up and help the plant. A key step that I took was really about communicating a very compelling case for the behavioral change that we need as we try to change the culture at the plant. And the key there is about making it personal for people. Now, people don't really care how much you know sometimes until they know that you care. And so it is about ensuring that the message, the why are we doing it, the case for change resonated with them. And with safety, it's no more than ensuring that people come to work and leave the plant safely each day. And so I think that was something that stuck with people. And hence, getting down to the ground, building trust in the team as we rallied them behind, this whole goal, this whole call, was a lot about, reaching out, engaging on the ground, having dialogue to help people understand the risks, the consequences of their unsafe behaviors. Suffice to say, thankfully, we managed to turn around our culture. But more importantly, it reinforced for me, at that time that, while I may not have all the answers to a problem, knowing who to go to and leveraging the power of that broader team was really critical. So, back to my earlier point about building the relationships and fostering collaboration so that you can bring people together, was really something that I've learned through my own journey, and in helping me overcome a lot of these challenges that I've had as professionally.
Thank you so much, Ms. Kamfong. I think brilliant points about clear communication, leveraging your network, and especially building a network of people who are, have the same values as you and building up a good team. So I think you brought up one point about at one point in your life where you, in your professional journey, where you said that, you felt that you were out of your domain and you needed to ask for help. So was it difficult for you to ask for help, or do you think the people who were superior to you, they were open enough that it was easy for you to reach out and say that, hey, I'm a bit out of my depth over here. Could you give me some help, please?
Yeah, it's not easy, right? Particularly when you're put in a position of leadership. But it is, my encouragement is, get comfortable with that sort of being put in that sort of position. Right. My own experience in the end actually told me that more often than not, people are willing to help. Management was more than committed to help me be successful, to help the team be successful. And so whilst the notion of seeking help may seem weak or a problematic, if you will, when you're first put in that position, through my own experience over the years, I've actually found that if anything, I would encourage people to do that more, because again, if your goals, if your objectives are aligned with the goals of the organization, people will be willing to support. I've also taken that on board for, personally, that now that I'm in a position, of leadership in a company, to also pay forward and to be supportive of people coming forward to ask for help. And so I think therein you build a virtuous sort of environment to sustain this sort of help and encouraging people to come forward, because it is a good thing, right? So you know, I found that through own experience, you know, it's turned out to be a lot easier than I thought, you know, it would be. It does take a bit of courage at first, but you know, I encourage folks to reach out.
Thank you so much, Ms. Kamfong. I think great about, you know, that even though it might seem like you're coming across as not knowing much about it, I think it's good to ask for help. It's great. Okay, thank you. Mr. Lam, if you could quickly share some of your thoughts on this as well, would love to hear from you.
Thank you, Anusha. Much appreciated. To share something about the difficulties to my success and the challenges, allow me to share something personal with regards to that question. So early on in my childhood, my parents had actually divorced. And as a result of that, I had several home relocations, which then resulted in a less than optimal secondary education. In the end, what happened was it actually set me back a bit in my college years, because at that time I had to take additional remedial classes just to be able to catch up to where I should have been. Now, the interesting thing that I learned from that college experience is that tenacity, determination, and just sheer grit is what can help anyone. And what I really mean by anyone is that I mean everyone. But if you have that, you can overcome any challenge that you may face. In the end, and by all rights, I could have easily quit along the way and not graduate with a bachelor's degree, but I did. And today, as a result of that, I am extremely happy with my career, with my profession, and my personal life. So I'm hoping that people will learn from that if you have tenacity and determination and just sheer grit, you can actually overcome many of life's challenges.
Thank you so much, Mr. Lam. I think the thoughts are very in line with what Ms. Chair shared initially about grit, resilience, and tenacity. And I think especially for a STEM degree, which is so taxing physically, emotionally, and mentally, it's important to keep reminding ourselves of the end goal, and that, you know, there is no one person who's so special who could just do it. You know, if we've got into this program, we definitely have what it takes to make it to the end of the finish line. Thank you so much. With that, we come to the end of our panel discussion. I would like to thank all three panelists. And I really do hope that you audience members have picked out at least one or two things which have resonated with you and would probably help you a lot in your individual and special journey to success. Thank you so much.
Thank you once again, Nusha, for your moderator, for such a great session that you moderated. And thank you to our esteemed panelists for the wise insights and your stories that you shared. So authentic and heartfelt. And I'm sure so many valuable lessons and learnings have been passed on to everyone. So our closing speaker now, she is a change agent that believes that talent management is the key to success for an organization. She's the Asia lead for Micron Women Leadership Network and vice president for SWE Penang. She also leads worldwide system integration, operations, engineering ops, and supply chain for Micron. Please welcome Suha Subramaniam.
Hey, thank you, Elaine. Hello, everyone. So on behalf of Society of Women Engineers and on behalf of the female community in Asia, I would really like to thank the organizing team, and also the inspiring leaders who just shared with us your recipe to success. Oh, it was really meaningful. This whole session, your sharings are really meaningful. So let's look around, right? In the world that we are living today, we are so blessed that there are many historic events to remember. And this event is just one of them. I'm just so impressed. Whole over Asia, I can see a lot of participation from whole over Asia, SWE from 2 countries, multiple organizations. And we have Anusha. I really can't believe she's, you know, her enthusiasm, right? An engineering student from NTU who are moderating senior leaders from the industry. So this is what real progress and result is all about. It gives me so much hope that the future is bright for female in STEM. And I think the world have opened up. We still have a lot to do, right? I'm not saying we are perfect, but there's definitely light at the end of the tunnel. So I'd like to share a short story why this embrace equity is very important. Without it, how much of an effort a person need to put, right? So exactly 20 years back, a female engineering graduate was struggling to land even an intern opportunity, although she had these very good results and very competitive final year projects. She just failed to outstand or impress the employers. So she just failed for who she was. Some even told that she can't have the job because she have no own transport, no car, or they will not even hire her because she can't converse with the majority of the workforce, and was labeled as very timid for the attire, not suitable to become an engineer. Name it, all the reasons why she can't become an engineer. So she took a part-time job to teach further mathematics. And at that point of time, even her family thought that teaching is the right field for her, not engineering. So she rebelled quietly with zero support system around her, by quietly, secretively write a novel research proposal for a master's in engineering and went to win government research scholarship. And then now her supervisor was telling her that she's too ambitious and told her off that she's not going to make it. But what happened is she went ahead to win 2 international awards, around 10 publications, including Preston Hill books, some used in university curriculum books in Thailand, India, and Germany. Went to win Sanggar Sanjung, which is a scientist award from the Permaisuri of Agung in Malaysia. So the reality is, when you look at her, she definitely, I think, didn't appear as a genius or capable or even a bold person. Maybe she is not, but there was something strong within her, which is grit. I think Ms. David kind of said that, right? Which is grit towards her dreams. And she went ahead to win all that she dreamt for. So I like to call out for all female and even male out there. We may be perceived for not meeting the worldly made checklist of greatness. Not sure what is that, right? So, but that is something we can't control. So don't let that rejection break you down and erase your dream. Believe in yourself, focus on your dreams, and make the impossible possible. It doesn't matter in which stage we are right now, right? In which path we are right now. So I like to quote what Michelle Yeoh just said during when she won the Oscar, right? So she said, ladies, don't let anybody tell you you're ever past your prime. So my friends here, it's never too late and it's never too early to chase your dreams. So thank you so much for the event again and have a great day. Back to you, Ining.
Thank you so much, Suha, for this rousing and heartwarming speech and the call to action, especially about Michelle Yeoh. Yeah. So to everyone, we hope you've been inspired by the conversations today. Once again, so much appreciation to the speakers, panelists, and our moderator for your thought leadership and all your insights. Thank you to the Society of Women Engineers, SWE, EXCO, and support for building this valuable community. And shout out to my fellow team members of Micron Women's Leadership Network. It's a privilege to work with all of you. Last but not least, thank you everyone in the room in this Zoom webinar for your presence and your participation. Keep it coming in the chat. Next, if you're a woman engineer, you can click the link in the next slide to become a member of SWE. All right, so you can either click this link, right? It's going to be in the chat, or you can use this QR code, use your phone and scan it to be a member. It's free, all right? And looking forward, we hope that you save the date for International Women's in Engineering Day. That's 23rd June, and that's the 2nd anniversary. So save that date, and you can also click the link that's coming in the chat or use the QR code with your phone. All right, so that's 2 links that as a follow-up, it would be great for you to access. And it would mean a lot to collaborators behind the scenes if you could share what you enjoyed about today and how we can improve. So in the next slide, just click the link in the chat. There's a lot of links, right? I know, and it really means a lot to us if you could do this. Simply use your camera function to hover over this QR code and tell us what you enjoyed about today. And, thank you so much for participating. And now it's time to take a group photo. Please switch on your videos, everyone. All right, we are going to go into gallery view. Thank you, Kanan, for switching us to gallery view so that we can all take that photo. And 1, 2, 3, and smile. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. And thank you, audience. The event has now come to a close. Return you 3 minutes of your time. Thank you so much. Goodbye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye. Great job. Great show. Thanks.
Thanks for